If you don't know who we are, I'm Ray, and this is
Dora,
my wife. Here we are. We're just doing a short, quick video of things that are going around. Of course, you see how things are rapidly. They're just moving.
Yes, from day to day.
From day to day.
Different things.
Mm-hmm. We're out there working on doing different things that we're doing, and this is just something that needs to be said, needs to be told, because a lot of people are not talking about it. But you have to get your cash out of the banks already. You need to keep minimum. I know a lot of people in there, what they do is they pay their bills, they do regular stuff, just like Dora does. Dora's the one that's in charge of basically doing all that stuff for us. But we keep the bare minimum that we have to keep in there. Why? Because you see how they keep pushing for this digital currency. In fact, one of our banks that we bank with actually is, we're not sure if they're part of the ESG, but more than likely, because it is constantly doing updates. In fact, it's doing another update tomorrow. And this has almost been like a weekly or every 2 weeks constant update. Constant, the bank will be shut down, the app will not be working. So this is what we're doing. Look, at any point, at any time, they can just cut it off. They can go ahead and stop, and there's
freeze
no
your
banking.
assets.
Freeze your assets.
Yes.
And then there's no banking then. What are you going to do then? If you think about it, whenever there's a natural disaster, a hurricane or something, if people don't have cash, they can't function.
Right.
And in fact, that happened to Puerto Rico. Banks are not working. Because why? Because there's no electricity. ATMs are not working because no electricity.
Right.
So how are you going to get around to doing things if you don't have any cash? I want you to think about something that happened, what was it, about a year or two, about them talking about they were short on change. They wanted people to bring change in. If you remember, people kept talking about, we need your change because we don't have any quarters, we don't have any nickels. Now, that's such a lie, because there's so much quarters and dimes and nickels out there. But you know what it was really about? It was about collecting this so you don't have any of this.
Right.
See, it doesn't work unless they can collect all the change, because they know this is part silver. It's not really 100% silver. Reason why, back in 1965, if you go back, you can Google it yourself. Back in 1965, that's when the real silver was. 1965, 64, 63, the older ones. But after 65, that's when they started changing it and just putting a coating of silver on it. But it's still change. This is what they call junk silver, 65 and older. So what I'm saying, what we're saying, is you have to start having some cash on you.
Yes.
I know we're all been used to using the debit cards.
Yes, we're so used to where we used to just carry cash whenever we went out of town.
Yes.
Just in case, the Visa card or, the chip or whatever wasn't malfunctioning or something, because it's happened before. So we're like, okay, when we go out of town, we'll carry some cash, and also to prevent from anyone taking your Visa, information.
We all go to some of those restaurants where
yes.
I think we're going to pay cash.
Yes, we're going to pay cash here. But now, you've got to, like Ray was saying, we know that everything gets paid online. You buy your groceries online. You do a lot of stuff online, which is okay for right now, but only keep a minimum of what you're going to do. Treat it like a credit card, where you just have so much of a balance, and then you pay that because you're going to use that again. Well, that's pretty much what we're saying. Take your funds out, but only use it, for the stuff that you're going to just pay right there and then.
Just have the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what happened with PayPal, right? It went woke. In fact, I heard it here recently of some people that they had money coming in, because I've used PayPal also for, I build engines, do other stuff, parts. I sell parts, engine parts. Well, it goes through PayPal. Well, recently this gentleman and several others were talking about that PayPal was holding their funds because they needed more information. They needed their driver license, which you already have information about that person when you open a PayPal account.
Right.
But now they wanted their current address or driver license. They want to know what was the reasoning for them collecting this money.
Right.
What services did they provide, and so on.
Yes.
No. See, they're going into this system and they're pushing the system. This is another thing people are not telling you to do. Look, if you can afford it, you need to also buy silver.
Yes.
See, this is 1 ounce of silver. 1 ounce of silver. See, I just want to show you that. That is 1 ounce in silver. That is 99.9% silver. This is another one. This is, they also do it in coins. So you can do it this way. You can do it either way. That's real silver. See, we're going to have to learn how to barter. I know people are saying, well, you need to understand that the beast system is being created already. So understand this part. The rapture, yes, is supposed to happen before the Antichrist shows up, before the mark of the beast and so on. But do we know if we're going to have to be bartering? Do we know if we're going to have to be trading? Are we going to have to be trading foods? Or we're going to have to be doing this and this? We don't know exactly what we're going to, but we need to be prepared and be ready.
Yes.
You need to learn. Okay, I had to learn how to trade. And this is something I never wanted to do. When I build engines, hot rods, muscle cars, and so on, I would have people wanting to trade me, and I would always say no. Until several years ago, I had to learn, oh, yes, that's a good trade. Let's trade. And I had to learn how to trade.
Right.
That it benefits both of us. So understand something. Whenever you have, say, for instance, silver that you want to trade, because this is what you have, and say, let's just say that cash is no good anymore. Let's say the dollar collapses. And now there's people out there say, well, it's not going to happen. Well, we don't know.
Right.
If it does or if it doesn't, okay, fine. But this 1 ounce of silver can still buy, has the same buying power as it did back in 1950s. Same buying power. The dollar itself, here, I'll take out a dollar so we can actually look at it and see, so you can see what I'm saying. A dollar bill does not have the same buying power that it did in 1950 any longer.
Right.
You might be saying, how? How is that possible? Well, my daughter even brought it up. You can't even buy a stick of gum anymore.
No. Not for a dollar.
Yeah. Do you get that? Do you see how this is going away? Because you don't have that buying power anymore.
Right. And also in some countries, and we've been listening to, what's that, Boots on the Ground?
Yes.
We've been listening to him too, because he kind of puts everything from other states, you know, and he's saying, you know, in some states, you know, they're having to go buy their groceries that day, because if not within...
Oh, that's
where's that?
Okay. In Venezuela.
Oh, okay.
In Venezuela, whenever they get paid, that same day they get paid, they have to purchase their groceries. Why? Because the following day the groceries have just went up again. The price went up. Yes.
So that's what I'm referring to, is that the dollar does not keep its value. You know, it doesn't keep its value, and it can change, and it changes daily. You know, not so drastic in that aspect yet, but it does change daily. So we just, you know, that is the reason why, you know, we're saying, you know, do cash, take out your cash, have it with you, and start buying other.
Do you know what the value of this is? It's whatever is backed up by the government saying this is what it's valued at.
Yes.
Do you know what the value of this is? Remember, if you go back to the Bible, God said, the silver and gold is mine. He didn't say this was his.
Right.
This belongs to the government. This belongs to the Lord. So just something to think about. So what are we saying? Start carrying more cash on you, keeping more cash with you. Again, you may say, well, what do I do with the cash? If you're able to, buy silver and gold. Continue paying your bills. We're not saying not to pay your bills.
Right.
You have to pay your bills.
You have to pay your bills.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, buying the silver and gold, what is the best way of doing that? Remember how we were saying, you know, to make sure if you're able to do it from a local area?
Yes, if you can buy it local, buy it local. It's a lot easier, a lot better to buy it local. But also, be very cautious. There's going to be people out there selling fake silver. The way you can tell is if you go get you a scale and it's going to weigh exactly 1 ounce. When you put that on there, it's going to weigh 1 ounce. Also, a magnet. A magnet will not be able to pick up that silver because it's silver. It won't be magnetized.
It's not magnetized.
There's also, they sell a kit that you can use a kit to test it to see if it's silver. So there's methods out there for you to look and see that it is real silver.
Right.
Because I've even seen it on Facebook that they are selling fake gold, that it looks exactly like silver, that has everything on here to show you that it's 99.9% gold. I mean, everything's the same way, but it's fake.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way with silver. That's what they're trying to do. Just remember, there's thieves all the time.
Yeah.
There's going to be thieves all the time. And whenever you learn to barter and make sure you're both having a good trade. Yes. Don't try to make the trade that it benefits you better than it benefits the other person. Why? Because the word's going to get around.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to get around. They're going to say, we don't want to trade with that person because that person's a thief. That person wants more than what it's actually bringing the value. So make sure it's a good trade for both parties.
Yes.
So that's what we're saying. You need to start looking into it because this is going fast. It's going faster than you think. Yes. People might say, well, I'm just going to wait for the rapture. Well, you're going to have a rough time before the rapture.
Right. Yes. Because, like we've said before, we don't know how bad it's going to get before the church is taken. We have no clue. It doesn't tell us that. It just says, be ready, be prepared, keep your heart well, and whatever you can do in the natural, to make your life a whole lot easier, and also for your loved ones and for whoever you can help as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal.
We have to look. Yes, that is right. What Doris just said. We have to look at the elderly. Why? Because they're on a fixed income.
Yes.
So we have to make sure that they do have enough food, that they're able to pay their bills. Because evil does not care.
That's right.
Evil does not care. But we, as godly children, should care for one another.
Yes.
So we want to bring you a quick video, short video, just to tell you, look, it's time that you pay attention, get your cash out, keep just enough in there to do what you need to do.
Yes.
That's all we're saying.
Amen.
So we'll see you on the next one. This was just a quick video for you. Thanks for watching.
Yes.